Hey there guys, so in this video I'm going to break down and go behind the scenes of the business empire of the richest guy in the world, alright, Frenchman Bernard Arnault. But what I'm going to do is I'm not only going to do that, I'm going to reveal 3 of the secrets behind his rise to wealth and power. And they are quite shocking. And the third one, guys, was a little bit sinister, to be honest. When I discovered about this, I think my whole perception of Bernard Arnault kind of changed. Okay, so this is, you want to watch out for this in your own life, and I'm gonna warn you guys that you don't want to emulate this type of behavior. um, at least not just secret number 3. Like, that's what you want to avoid. You don't want any of that kind of controversy in your own life if you can possibly avoid it. The other 2 are okay. They are fair business practice. They are sound business practice. So let's get into the story. So Bernard Arnault, over the last couple of years, right, guys, has become the richest guy in the world. He's competing with Elon Musk, with Jeff Bezos, and there's some other guys in like number 4, number 5. But those are your top 3 richest guys in the world. Um, and I guess, as happens with a lot of richest guys in the world, there's always some controversy swirling around them. I think you've seen this with Bill Gates. You've kind of seen this thing with some of the richest guys in the world. In a lot of cases, a lot of these guys just don't make it to top guy in the world just like that, right? Like, there's always some drama behind the scenes. So I did a little bit digging to find out what the Bernard Arnault story is. And from what I had researched way back, I was a fan. I thought, like, well, this is a guy who keeps his dealings clean, who does his business in a legit way, and I still think, for the most part, that's the impression I have of the guy. All right, he seems like a legit business guy. Um, he just happens to maybe not be nearly as public as someone like an Elon Musk, who is sharing his life on social media for us guys to see what he's up to, right? Like, he just maybe happens to be a little bit quieter, more reclusive. Um, so, but the way he actually got his start was working way back when he began his professional life. He was actually working for his father, right? Like, he did an engineering degree in school, finished with that, and then he started working in his father's construction company. And one of the things that he later on did was he got a bit of money and he got into business for himself, and he bought a struggling business, a struggling company. And one of the and some other stuff, but one of those was Christian Dior, which was a struggling like a fashion house. There were a lot of these fashion houses out there, I think, in France and Italy and places like that. um, and some of these businesses had been around for years, right? Like, probably decades. But so he was able to do that, and he got into the fashion and luxury world. But he seems to have had a real knack for business, right? And so he was able to actually keep expanding and growing his business empire from that small start to actually, doing more and more acquisitions and acquiring more and more things, and being able to kind of keep expanding his portfolio of businesses. And over the years, he was then able to actually buy a controlling stake in LVMH, which is like, his biggest company, his biggest business. And this is a business with a lot of other owners, but he was able to get in as uh, to get in and over time build up a controlling stake. But he is a shrewd businessman, right? Like he's been able to really build that up into a massive luxury powerhouse. That's a worldwide brand that a lot of celebrities are into. They buy their products all the time, and this has become a powerhouse, right? He's really put French luxury on the map. He's one of the guys behind doing basically that. Another thing he did, he got his own family into the business. He's got his sons, his daughters. They work in the business. They work for the business, and by all indications, they're gonna keep running the family business even after Bernard Arnault is gone, which is a smart move, right? Like you wanna have some continuity with that. And that actually brings us into the first of these secrets behind Bernard Arnault's rise to being the richest man in the world is this focus on continuity, longevity. The first secret being that he focused on products and brands that will last for a long, long time. He focused on products that are gonna last for a long time. So there's this story about him and Steve Jobs meeting. Apparently the two of them were friends, and the question that Bernard Arnault asked Steve Jobs supposedly was, well, do you think the iPhone is gonna be around after 30 years? In the next 30 years, do you think the iPhone is gonna be around? And Steve Jobs is supposed to have said, well, I don't know. I honestly don't know, right? Like, I don't know, like after 30 years, who knows? With new phones coming out, new technology, new things, new stuff, who knows if the iPhone will exist in 30 years. And then supposedly Steve Jobs turned the question around and asked it back to Bernard Arnault and said, what about Dom Perignon? Like that's one of Bernard Arnault's brands. Was like, what about your Dom Perignon, liquor? Is that gonna be around in 30 years? And apparently Bernard Arnault said, yes, it's gonna be around not just in 30 years. It's gonna be around for a long time. So apparently his focus with these brands, with these luxury brands, is on building and acquiring products that have been around for literally decades, if not centuries, like some of the luxury fashion brands that he has, but will also be able to be around for literally the next 50 years, but more than that, for literally the next century or couple centuries, which is a really different business philosophy. It's kind of focusing on these handbags, fashion, luxury, watches, jewelry, all kinds of super high-end flashy things that the rich are always gonna be buying, but they don't just buy them to wear, they also buy them to store them in their lockers and pass them down from generation to generation and kind of keep as like household family goods. And these are the things that Bernard Arnault he has really focused his attention on, because that means he can then, his companies will always be in business if he can just keep focusing on selling those kinds of products, which I think is a smart way of doing business. Now let's move on to secret number two. Secret number two, he was focused on buying up shares. So that's been his modus operandi, was getting into a new company, a new luxury brand, and trying to buy up as many shares of the company as he could. So he's been very patient and aggressive at buying up shares. Whenever he's got a chance, he'll be buying up shares. So if he starts targeting a new brand that's out on the public market, he'll go in. If he sees this is a company I want for myself, he'll go in, he'll buy up whatever he can right now and kind of wait around and stick around for the long term. And over time, whenever somebody is selling shares, Bernard Arnault acquires them, and over 10, 15 years, then he might be able to acquire 75% of a company, and if it's a really good brand, the appreciation of the shares that he's already bought over time means that he's at the end of it all, he's gonna be sitting on something worth a lot more than he paid for it back in the day, and he will have made a ton of money and become very wealthy in the process. Now, a lot of finance gurus have actually done this kind of thing as well. If you look at how Warren Buffett began, he started out buying Berkshire Hathaway, which was kind of like a junk business that wasn't worth a lot of money. But then they went around buying shares in valuable companies and acquiring valuable companies where possible at pennies on the dollar. So this kind of thing has been done before. It's a playbook of the super rich that's been done a lot of times before. And Bernard Arnault has apparently done this at a very high level. And secret number 3 is where it gets a bit dark and sinister, right? Is apparently to get control of LVMH, his biggest and most valuable company, his biggest and most valuable acquisition. Apparently to get control of that, he backstabbed. He pushed out his own top ally and his own top guy that was supporting him. His own, call him his best business friend or his best business buddy that had been helping him to get him to where he got. Apparently he pushed that guy out so that he personally could acquire the in the critical moment, so that he himself could benefit, which is very controversial in a sense, because when you're doing business with people, that's why I pointed out a warning at the start, like, guys, be careful who you're doing business with. Some people are like that. They're gonna push you out, they're gonna throw you under the bus when they get a chance. And this is also it agrees with the nickname that apparently people in those business circles have for Bernard Arnault. Apparently they call him the wolf in a Cashmere coat. Like that's how they literally, apparently that's his nickname. Apparently that's how they name him, which is unpleasant to say the least. Like that they see this guy as a wolf in a Cashmere coat. Like, that's not how you want people to see you. So be careful who you do business with. Apparently some of these guys will use you like that when they get the chance, and then they get rid of you and use you as a stepping stone to get to where they think the grass is greener on the other side. So you really want to be careful. Don't associate with people that are gonna treat you that way. And for yourself, hopefully you never treat people like that. Like, that's a low move, right? Like, that's a cheap move, and something that hopefully you won't do because it's just downright a shot below the belt. You don't want to do that kind of thing. So that's how it is, guys. Like, I promise you, I told you I would reveal the details, and these are some of the ugly details, right? So that's all I have for you. And if you need some free resources to help you with growing your own business, you can grab them. The links will be in the description.